How will Westfield look 30 years from now? And will the city be as attractive then as it is now? That's next on Mondays with the Mayor. Westfield Mayor Andy Cook back today to discuss those questions and more. And Mayor, most people will tell you they want bikeable, walkable cities. They want good schools, trails and parks. They want vibrant downtowns. How do those discussions move forward as you plan this city for the next 30 years?
Well, it's a huge part, Chris, of what we're trying to plan as we continue our objective of making Westfield a great destination for families, therefore for employers, et cetera. So there's so many of these different factors that contribute to that. Yeah, the walkable, bikeable, walkable city, by the way, I find is a little bit contradictory. Everybody tells me they want a walkable downtown, but I find nobody wants to walk. You know, they want a parking garage here and there, but we'll get to that.
So what about urban sprawl? That's the one thing that people just really anymore are completely against when they look at, you know, how do we prevent
planning,
that?
And yeah, that's a great question. That is a question that we have been asking now over the last year, and I'd really like to focus on that this year. I've asked our planning commission to hold some sessions on that very question. We'd love to hear more from the public. Simply, how big of a city do you want to be? Because, you know, here in central Indiana, we have no barriers, physical barriers to growth. We don't have any railroad tracks. We don't have a big river in Westfield. We don't have any mountains to our north. I wish we did, but we don't. We could just keep going. And I'm not sure that's what people want, because I so often hear, I don't want to be as big as that city and as big as that city. Well, how big do you want to be? Great question. And, you know, our public safety people need to know that. And very importantly, our school system needs to know that, because both of those entities are key to our development. And yet that's a lot of investment that we have to make of some very long-term answers.
So how do you do this and to do it right? And that's an incredible balancing act to try to determine how big Westfield is going to be 30 years from now, or what it looks like 30 years from now. But really, you have to have those discussions not in a vacuum. You have to have them with the public as well.
Yes, I definitely. We need to bring in our planners. We need to bring in our council, and they've got to hear from the public, because we may say, okay, we don't want to sprawl anymore. Let's just fill in what we've already, our boundaries, so to speak. And even then, let me be very clear. This is not a growth versus no growth dilemma, because the growth is going to continue. Why? Because we've created a place people want to be. But it does beg the question, do we want to be as big as some of our neighbors? And I think from what I've heard so far, most people are telling me we'd rather have quality than quantity.
There are people who are visionary when it comes to planning, and I think what they do is they look at European cities and they go visit those areas and they see, how did they plan that and how does it work now, today? How did they plan it many, many, many years ago? And so when you look at cities like that, do you take anything away from urban planning that was done years and years and years ago and how it works today?
Oh, I think we've got to look at the long-term implications of what we're doing today. Especially, you say European, yeah, they've got hundreds of years worth of history. We only have a minuscule amount in comparison. But if you look at the history of the American suburb, they are kind of a flash in the pan. When I moved to Indy and back in the 70s, the areas that were the hot spots are no longer the hot spots. And I think we've got to look at, I know it doesn't seem possible, but we've got to look at the sustainability of Westfield 30 years from now. And how can we make Westfield as appealing in the year 2050 as it is today? And that is a difficult question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, well, we want to develop our downtown. You've seen across central Indiana, that seems to be the big rush. If there's a gold rush, it's in developing those downtowns. Is that going to be part of this as well?
Oh, very much. And Chris, we're well underway. We've been planning a downtown renovation for, 12, 15 years. And of course, we'd like to be a little innovative. We've done some innovative things through the years here in Westfield, but we'd like to look at it a little bit differently. I know a lot of Indiana cities, fortunately, are going through renovations. I think the feeling is we'd like for ours to be rather unique. And we're well on our way to that by utilizing some unique assets we have. Like we have a greenway that goes through the middle of our town with a babbling brook. It's not a river, but it's a greenway. We have trees that go to the west and to the east of our downtown with this creek. We also have the man-made asset of 6 trails that converge on our downtown. What area in Indiana has those kind of assets? So those are the things that we really need to build on. We don't want to look like every other Indiana downtown. The rather eclecticness of our beautiful Park Street that is making us very unique. And I might add, hey, one of our restaurants was just named one of the top 100 romantic restaurants in America. That of the Italian House. We're very proud in a short period of time that our unique identity of restaurants and shops on this Park Street is already making, well, I'll say it, a national hit.
We're going to talk about one of those assets next week that's
Great.
going to fit nicely into your plans for how we develop for the future. But for now, we're done. We'll see you next week, man.
Good to see you.